Hello and welcome to the fresh episode of Dynamic CISO Talk Show. My name is Rahul Neelmani. I'm the founding director of Greyhead Media and Vice President Community Engagement and Editorial ISMG. Today, we have a very special guest and an industry expert, Vijendra Katyar. Vijendra is the country manager for Trend Micro in India and SAARC. I'm excited. We will talk about the changing scenario in cybersecurity and also about various aspects which touch the enterprises. Welcome, Vijendra. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much, Rahul, for having me. And congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, let's begin with this very important but vague term called change. The change has had a very deep impact on cybersecurity, especially in the last 2 years, which has tested the patience and the wit of cybersecurity professionals. Um, let's talk about global breaches, cyber attacks, nation state actors, and what's happening currently. The Russia Ukraine conflict. As recent as last week, Conti gang has taken the Costa Rican government to ransom. They are now threatening to overthrow the government, and has enhanced their demand for ransom. So let's begin the conversation with your Uber level thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah, so you touched upon a very important point, change. I think that is the only constant. I think we have been repeating it and talking about it a lot, and then same applies to cybersecurity, right? A lot has changed. The way we are doing business has changed, technology has changed, expectations have changed. And one important thing, right, which you spoke about, cyber warfare, right, that has become more serious and more professional. And we are all witness to what is happening in the Ukraine and Russia, between Ukraine and Russia. So while at the background, we see a lot of these cyber attacks which are happening, defacement of website, distributed denial of service attack. And then the US government has, kind of released a, statement wherein they talk about that, openly admitting that how Russia has been behind doing such cyber attacks, right, against Ukraine. And let's not go too far, Rahul. I mean, we have seen India as a country, how we are placed geographically, and then we have such wonderful neighbors, right? So, very recently, it was in the news that in Ladakh, the load dispatch center, which was attacked by China. 2020, actually, in Mumbai, there was a power outage, and again, it was in the news that it was one of the cyber attacks from China, right, which led to this power outage and resulted into disturbing the transportation, railway transportation. So we are witnessing a lot of these things, state-sponsored attacks, uh, and this, I think, the whole game has now, like, there's a level up, a different momentum, different challenge what we are seeing right now. So that's what has changed. One another important aspect which I'm going to talk about is also ransomware, especially in last 2 years, right? What we have seen, and it has become like the main headlines. A lot of organizations in India have been compromised, right? Wouldn't you agree, Rahul?
Absolutely. And that was my next question. Um, India has suddenly come up on the radar of adversaries, including the dreaded nation state actors.
Right.
And if we see the quantum jump in the attacks on Indian organizations, especially the critical infrastructure, amazing. I mean, it is mind blowing. And you know, given the fact that these attacks have been noticed at the government level, um, the CERTN has issued new directives of reporting incidents, reporting vulnerabilities and reporting incidents. Now, if that is the prevailing scenario, how do you see it and where do you see it reaching?
I think what certain recently released the mandate was very evident that it is high time. Of course, a welcome move. High time that we realize that as a country, cybersecurity is becoming very serious. Right, the cyber security risk index, right, for India has jumped from just 37 positions, and we are at 10th position right now. Right. So that's how serious it is. When you look at ransomware stats, we are amongst the top three countries being impacted by ransomware. So I think this was needed right now, wherein I have never seen a mandate so detailed by certain, wherein they say that you have to respond about a cyber incident, annexure which talks about how a cyber incident or incident can be categorized, right? From scanning for an IP to a ransomware attack to a cyber attack, very detailed one. I think, especially what challenge which we see here will be from mid enterprise point of view. Organizations who are not really prepared for this, they have never thought about it. So that is going to be a little bit of challenge, and since it covers the entire umbrella, entire spectrum, right, from service providers to somebody like Trend Micro, to enterprise, to a cloud service provider, data center service provider, all of them that get covered in this umbrella of this mandate which has been recently released.
So, I mean, the dynamics are changing very fast. Both corporations and governments are responding to the changing dynamics, and that is both, an opportunity as well as a very scary scenario. Vijayendra, there are these cliches that InfoSec experts have always spoken about, and they have been speaking about those cliches for a very long time. For example, the constantly changing attack surface, the changing threat landscape. Surely, it has changed a lot vis-a-vis the past few years. Um, I want to understand from you what has changed, and what are the ramifications of these changing scenarios on the cybersecurity as a whole, and enterprises, how do they deal with this?
Good. I think we have been discussing for almost, if not less, at least a decade on threat landscape, right? And then everybody talks about threat landscape, how it has changed, how it has evolved, how it has exploded. I think I would not like to stress on threat landscape, but probably Rahul want to share my views that when I look at this threat landscape, two things which comes out very clearly. One is there is a universe, right, of this threat landscape wherein threats keep on evolving, right? Because of new technologies we're adopting, new platforms we're adopting, we're talking about digitization, which is important, right? And we're moving to cloud. So of course it will evolve because you are exploring new avenues of doing business, right? Which will introduce new risks and threats will evolve. So that is going to happen. Now, on the other side, there is a universe for an enterprise, right, which they have to manage. So my own cyber assets, my own infrastructure, how it is important, whether it is within my organization, whether it I have hosted in cloud. Now, when you talk about cyber assets today, the way we are living is that an employee sitting in a car with an iPad having a 4G, 5G connection can also become a branch office, right? That is the world we are living in. So there is no perimeter. We have been keep talking about it. So we have to understand that the nature of my business, whether I'm in banking, whether I'm a non-banking financial institution, manufacturing, e-commerce, what is the risk I carry, right? And what is the vulnerability, how vulnerable I am, right? And what are those cyber assets which are vulnerable? So I need to quantify that, understand that, and see where is the overlap between this overall threat landscape and my universe of cyber asset, right? And that's where I say that threat landscape prioritization is important. I need to understand what is relevant to me for my organization, and accordingly, I need to make strategy for that, right? And very important point is these days getting discussed around attack surface, right? And this is typically come from the kind of attacks we are seeing in last 2-3 years, especially, right? Wherein we as an organization, as nature of our business, we deal with a lot of third party vendors, right? We have supply vendors, we have vendors who provide different services. We are, and then it's like one of the incidents I want to talk about is a marketing event wherein were hosting the website, right? They spun, there was a cloud VM spun, and then everything was hosted on their website, and the database completely exposed. So that is also my surface, right, which I have to manage, right? So that is the kind of definition of attack surface we are talking about. So a lot of external attack surface management and internal cyber asset attack surface I have to manage. So it is becoming very important that you keep a balance between these two things.
So, good points. I mean, good 2 points that there needs to be a special emphasis on quantifying your threat landscape, and also understand how the new dimensions are added to the attack surface.
Right.
Because the conventional dimensions, conventional attack surface is no more relevant in today's context. Right. Wonderful. So, you briefly touched upon about the extended enterprise, and how it has been troubling the cybersecurity industry leaders.
Right.
That was my next point, which was supply chain attacks. We have seen in the past 2 years breaches like SolarWinds, Colonial Pipe, Log4j, and a lot of lessons to learn from these breaches. How can enterprises look at safeguarding their assets in such a scenario where there is no perimeter left?
I think very good question, Rahul. So one lesson which I will definitely say from all these attacks we have seen, whether it is SolarWinds or Colonial Pipeline, Log4j, Hafnium, right? One thing which comes out very common is, of course, supply chain, right? Which is extended enterprise, extended third parties which we deal with, and the second point is vulnerability, right? So these are the two things which are very common if you look at it, and then I think this was the initial point probably which triggered all of us as an industry to start looking at this new space in cybersecurity, which is external attack surface management. Yes. And if you look at the two hype cycles from Gartner, which is network security and security operations, at the innovation trigger, right at the bottom, right, this is gaining momentum, external attack surface management. So and why it is important, of course, as we discussed that we are dealing with a lot of third parties. They introduce new challenges, new risks, right, and we have to make sure that we at least have good visibility, right, of our external surface and how we are going to take care of it. So and that's where we say that digital attack surface management, right? So on one side we have cyber assets, on our other side there are threat vectors which gets introduced, right? So that is an important thing which probably we need to look at. Yeah.
No, very rightly said that CISOs and infosec leaders have to broaden their horizon to include all of these aspects when they are creating a cyber resilience strategy for their organization.
Right.
So, Vijendra, what we I mean, I'm a little perplexed with this fact that currently what we see is a very complex mesh of fragmented solutions sprayed all over. Isn't it about time that industry moves to a unified, consolidated security platform that gives more functionality with less management woes? And in that realm, does Trend Micro One fulfill this need for its users?
Right. So let me take a step back and understand that why as an industry we are talking about this platform based approach. Okay. There was a time, Rahul, you would agree that almost a decade back we said that no more product based approach, let's take solution based approach. Yeah. Now as an industry we are moving from solution based, we are saying that let's take a platform based approach. So very recently a survey was done by Gartner wherein they spoke to CISOs, right, industry experts, and taken their view. So 72% of them said that we have 19 plus tools in our organization. Okay. Now this will come as a surprise, but 12% said that we have 46 and more tools. And we all know the more tools we add, it brings in their own challenges of integration. They don't talk to each other. Manageability is an issue, of course. How many people you're going to appoint to manage those consoles, different tools? And as an industry, we are already facing skill set shortage, right? So skilled resource to manage those tools, right? I cannot have an expert of everything in cybersecurity sitting in my office. One of the CISOs, large banks I spoke to, he said, for IT, I have got 170 different tools. 170 different tools was a nightmare. So I think, and then let's go a little bit deeper, right? So two big analysts, IDC, Gartner in the recent report spoke about in the security risk and trend that vendor consolidation is important. IDC also spoke about consolidation. So why are they talking about it? When we go to the real world, the problem is, Rahul, everything is happening in silos. So everybody's talking about EDR, detection response, right? So what happens is EDR is a very nice tool. It throws a lot of alerts, a lot of events, and that goes to the SOC, security operations, gets monitored in silos. We have network security, network analysis, network security analysis, all this happens in silos, right? Email, I feel really sad that email is such an important vector. Most of these ransomware, they originate from email. The CEO fraud, BEC, all this happens from email, and very little correlation which happens from email as a vector. Cloud is a completely different animal now. Cloud has gone multifold, infrastructure as a code, right? no more workloads. You don't even have anything, just lines of code running in the cloud. So that brings its own complexity. So all this is happening in silos.
Yes.
And we know what happens when start things happening in silos. Attackers take advantage of it. They know what is your weak point. It becomes an easy entry for them. So that's where I think platform-based, a unified platform-based approach is going to be the future, right? And very important for us to understand which platform to choose. And when we talk about this unified cybersecurity platform, I believe that it has to go beyond just consolidation of tools, right? Of course, you have many tools you want to consolidate, but it has to not limit itself to that. It has a larger purpose to serve, right? So, policy management consolidation is one part of it, but then the platform should have capability to provide you the right visibility, risk insight. So today, and that is what we are doing with Trend Micro One, right? So Trend Micro One is a unified cybersecurity platform, and when we say this unified cybersecurity platform, it is not just another marketing terminology, right? So there is a lot of meaning to it. And let me explain you a little bit around why it is important and whatever we have discussed, right? The kind of threat landscape, attack surface, how it answers a lot of these challenges. So, at the core of Trend Micro One as a platform, right? And it has taken us 33 years, by the way. So yeah, we are a 33-year-old organization. It has a lot of experience behind it. So uh, at the core is Vision One. So which gives you capability of extended detection response, zero trust, threat intelligence, SSE, secure service edge, right? And now we have gone beyond that, right? And now looking at, especially with this whole attack surface, we have introduced and taken it to the next level with attack surface risk lifecycle management.
Okay.
So, and there are two aspects to it, as we discussed in the previous conversation, right? One is that external attack surface management, right? Which is knowing what is your external surface, my IP, my domains, my website, whatever is external facing, right? And my third party. So, one important point is I need to do a discovery. Number one step is that understand, because till the time I don't have visibility, I can't manage. We all know that what we can't see, we can't manage, we can't mitigate, we can't. So one is you have to do discovery and understand what are your external attack surface, right? And then how you can, then you can build a strategy. The other important part is, and again, this is in the security operations of Gartner Hype Cycle at the innovation, which is CASM.
Yes.
Right, which is cyber asset attack surface management.
Absolutely.
Which is one, you're looking at external from the external point of view. The other is internally, us understanding my cyber assets which are inside, which can be anything, which can be a user, application, desktop, laptop, cloud instance, server, etc., etc. These are my cyber assets, and what is the risk they carry. So what we do is we take data from all these cyber assets, right? We correlate, and then we kind of categorize them or tag them, right? And this is a continuous process. This is not one-time process. So we continuously keep on doing this because we have to, because you keep on adding new technologies, new platforms, right? And moment you add, there is new introduction which happens to a cyber asset. So once we do that, then we derive at a cyber risk index at the organization level. This is very interesting for CISO CIOs, by the way, that they always want to know what is the cyber risk as cyber risk score. So we derive at the score and we tell them that what is the risk score overall and what is the risk score of this cyber asset or entity, which can be user, application, device, so on and so forth, and reason for that, right? So one is that. Other thing which we do is also give you attack index, which means the severity of impact in case an attack happens, right? Or in case there is some attack or breach which is there, right? What is the severity and which are the cyber assets? So I create a good knowledge graph, right? And I keep on adding to this knowledge graph, which will give me visibility, and it goes on continuously, right? And then I can build a risk strategy around it, mitigation strategy around it, right? So Trend Micro One, of course, gives you a very good technology platform, a unified platform, but other important aspect of this is that human part. I think you asked me about what is the human part or to it. So tools solves half the problem. Half the problem is, of course, you cannot ignore the human element. So that's where we have a good service cover around it, right? Trend Micro MXDR, which is managed extended detection and response as a service, which helps you with the help of analysts, which helps you do threat hunting, investigation, helps you understand the risk better, mitigate the risk better, right? So this is an important aspect. So it's a combination of tool plus human, right? A platform which gives you a comprehensive service where you can do incident response. We have professional analysts who can help you. So, and this is what we are seeing as a trend also. So managed security services is gaining a lot of momentum. Absolutely. Right, and a recent report from Gartner, which did a whole research on managed security service, how it is evolving. So there are three universe it talks about. One is technology management or device management. So we have the service providers partners, right? Typically, their job is to go and service a platform, a firewall, IP, so on and so forth. And there are platform providers like Trend Micro, right? SaaS platform providers, which gives you a platform. And the third part of that universe is the SOC player, security operations, right? So what it says is all these are going to collide, right? And there is going to be a central point of concentration, which is security operations, which is driven by effective threat detection and response. Okay. So if you have to do an effective security operation, it has to be powered by threat detection response, a lot of automation. Yeah.
No, great. I think it was quite a lengthy answer, and just to sum up the answer, uh, very wonderfully you started talking about how from a point product to a solutions based approach to now a larger platform based approach has evolved, and how the CISOs should be gradually moving to a platform, and that platform need not be very myopic. I mean, they have to be very, very diligent about choosing the platform, because it can be detrimental. And consolidating those 1946 products into one is what Trend Micro has done in the past 33 years, and that's the result of the R&D. So thank you very much for that elaborate answer. Lastly, I mean, this is my last point. I would like you to sum up with some kind of futuristic outlook that you see on two fronts. One is the attackers. We often tell that or accept that attackers are innovative, they are creative, they are lethal, they have more power of technology. And on the other hand, are the defenders. So how do you anticipate the attacks evolving, and how do you see the defenders successfully defending their assets?
Good. I think I really wish that we all of us as an industry experts or had a crystal ball, where I can look into the future. Crystal ball gazing, yeah, and I can look into the future and actually predict so that what is going to more realistically. But then, however, one thing is very clear. I think we all know that by now how this attackers, right, or hackers as a community is evolving, right? They are becoming more and more collaborative. So I think gone are the days when they used to, have these viruses, virus outbreaks, right? They are motivated, so we know that, and that is going to continue. So they will take advantage of every little aspect, whether it is elections, whether it is COVID, whether it is cyber war, whether it's the war by itself, anything which is in the news, right? They will going to take advantage of this, and they will come up with new campaigns, and we have seen that happening. So that will continue. Uh, one thing which is very, very clear is ransomware is here to stay, and we have seen the journey of ransomware from screen locking to asking for a ransomware, and then with WannaCry becoming more and more, how it can spread laterally, right, and how it has evolved. So we have seen that. We've also seen that AI/ML is just not restricted to enterprises, to people like us and you, right? It is also hackers who are taking advantage of AI/ML, right? Supply chain
Technology is ubiquitous. Anyone can use it.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And then we talk about the supply chain attack, right? Other important point which I want to bring is open banking, right?
Yes.
So API security we have started discussing a lot in last few years, because everything is opening up, right? We have started integrating a lot. So API security will be a major concern going forward. That is going to be something which is going to be of, and then cloud overall, I would say, right? While we are saying shift left, attackers have also shifted left,
Absolutely.
So today we have a very nice DevOps culture in all the organizations, which helps business to become more agile. So we have shifted left. Our developers, they go and download some piece of software which can be used in the for the development purpose, and you don't know what vulnerability that software has.
Carries.
Right. So now this hackers have taken advantage of that, and they've started maybe shifting left and introducing these vulnerabilities in the
DevOps tools.
DevOps tools also. So that's what is happening, right? And so we as defenders, right, what we always want to stay a step ahead. So I would say that going forward, visibility, right, is going to be very, very important. So why attack surface is quantifying this attack surface, having visibility of the attack surface is important, because visibility is very important. So the way we are expanding, right, we need to ensure that at least we have right visibility across the board, uh, so that we can take decisions, right? I think one important point is incident response is going to be very, very critical these days. So how effectively you have built a strategy, a plan against any incident, small or big it is, right? How effective is your team internally? Keep a check on that. Other thing which is going to be of prime importance, I think, is the human aspect of it. So we keep on talking about skill shortage. I think that is going to play a vital role going forward, right? We have to understand as an industry that these cybersecurity experts or analysts, which we say, right, they are in. I think let smart people do smart things, right? And that's where we are saying that there is a lot of shortage in terms of cyber skill set. So analysts are going to play a very important role, and how in the larger scheme of things they can help you, right, to solve this problem. So that is going to be very, very interesting.
Great. So, we were hearing Vijendra talking about the whole 9 yards of cybersecurity. It is very difficult to explain everything from the past to the future and flowing the present in between. However, this discussion was quite insightful, Vijendra. I wish I had more time to spend with you, but nonetheless, there's an opportunity for the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you for having me.